Alright, 12. Casting inspection. General the section contains the minimum requirement of the inspection, casting, repairing the defects, extent necessary to meet applicable acceptable standards. Casting purchase manufacturer contractor should be in conformity with the specification standards specified here with the non-instructive test requirements should be specified herein. No specification standards or reference drawings of castings which are subject to the test and surface shall be included the following information. Chemical composition, material required, mechanical properties, melting process, the heat treatment, including aging, stabilizing treatment, cleaning method to be used, pressure proof test, if required, radiological magnetic particle to inspection requirements and identification markings. Definition: pressure containing the purpose of the section 12, the containment of the means of the casting area, prevent containment of the fluid of escaping. Subcategory designation, for example, the A1, B1, and C1. Further is shown on the table the 13, 14, 15 categories 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, and 3 of casting assigned with a simple reference of the various application rules specification. Casting inspected by inspection rules. Show the category 13 non-pressure containing casting machinery, pressure vessels, application rules, stress due, the stress level, the percent yield, 5 to 6 weight, non-destructive testing, radiological, magnetic, particle, visual, and subcategories. Category 1 non-pressure containing casting machinery, pressure vessels. Then its notes, and then category 2 pressure containing casting machinery, pressure vessel castings. Then the footnotes, category 3, pressure containing casting, piping system casting, valve fittings, flange, auxiliary equipment. Application pressure 2, note MPS 3 inches, non-destructive testing, radiological material, pressure B, and visual testing subcategories. And then with our notes, 12 through 3, inspection details. General the table 13, 14, and 15 summary of the inspection requirement of the casting, non-pressure of the pressure contained with the casting based on the applications of the conditions, side of the home key for the trash for the X, indicate for the specific non-destructive tab for the special required for the application conditions, described in the applicable protecting the horizontal data visual examination. Each casting should be visually examined to conform with the specifically dimensions of the condition, and identification markers should be checked and ensure accuracy, inspection, qualification, visual inspection should be performed with the personnel successfully placed. Pass visual vision and test in accordance with the military standard 27-1. Non-destructive test, non-destructive test in accordance with the military standard 27-1, except for the specified in 1232. 1232 with the casting described the application listed in table 13, 14, and 15 regardless of the material inspected with the non-destructive test method indicated whether magnetic particles indicate with the material of the magnetic ambient temperature shall be inspected with the magnetic particle materials with the non-magnetic shall be inspected with the particle testing, radiographic exam with the shooting sketches. Shooting sketches prepared in accordance with the military standard 271 should provide with a specific interpretation of the application radiographs approval of the sketches is required. Substitution of the tab for the radiographic test is specified with the geometry casting the inspection radiograph does not meaning with the cannot be performed in accordance with the military standard 271 magnetic particle test is applicable to may be substituted when approved the magnetic particle to may be substituted magnetic particle casting for local condition and such that the accessible magnetic particle may injure the contaminated magnetic particle method. Ultrasonic in accordance with the approval of written test is perceived that this may be substituted radiographic when approved with the application. Acceptance criteria, visual examination, casting surface shell free of the cracks and tears, lapse, shrinkage, inclusion, gas holes, other harmful injuries, defects, freers, cast shall meet with the requirements of SP55. Magnetic particle and radioactive tests according to the magnetic particle radiograph test should be in tables specified in 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20. For the gas material, thickness material in inches, magnetic particle, military standard 23 and 35. Alright, show the radiographic acceptance criteria, cast material, aluminum 1, 2, and 3, radiograph type of the discontinuities, metal thicknesses, hot cracks, gold sharp misruns, gas hole plate and grade, gas porosity, ground plate and grade, elongated plate and grade, shrinkage plate, heavy plate and grade, sponge plate and grade, for material less dense plate and grade, more dense plate and grade, and 1/2 inch, over 1/2 to 1/4 inch, over 1/4, 1/4 inch, 2, over the 2, the 3, and 3, and over. Alright, and then they show the table, footnote, radiograph the table, acceptance criteria, steel, carbon, alloy, corrosion, titanium, and titanium alloys, tightness, thickness criteria, level of the ASTM standard, shrinkage, porosity, inclusion, hot tier cracking, insert chapel, the maximum security level, thickness, and then it goes on. Alright, and then it shows it again, so it goes on. Then it goes in the footnotes, and then table 20, which is radiographical criteria with the 10 bronze casting, thickness level, a double definition, shrinkage type of the reference radiograph, reference radiograph, and porosity inclusion, chaplets, ASTM standard performance radiograph, ASTM E286. Radiograph evaluations. Production of radiographs shall be evaluated in accordance with the comparable the applicable ASTM reference radiograph list in table 17, 18, 19, and 20. Investment casting shall be meet with the number 5 acceptance level of the ASTM 192, except the filamentary type. Shrinkage contained therein and not permitted. Double the wall radiograph references radiograph with the wall thickness with the capability of thickness of the both wall casting being radiographed shall be used. However, the number of 4 acceptance level for evaluation purposes. Pressure test. The pressure test acceptance criteria should be in accordance with the applicable material system. The equipment of the system, the ultrasonic acceptance criteria should be reviewed with a case basis. Extent of the non-destructive test, visual test shall be conducted with 100% of the all access to the contact surface area of the compromise with the finished part, gates, risers, test, coupons, temporary test, flanges. Similar extension of the part of the foundry procedures are excluded. Pressure test should be applied at all pressure-containing areas. Extent of the radiograph of the casting of the shall receive the complete coverage when required in accordance with the table 18, 19, and 20. 13, 14, and 15. Insofar as the casting configuration thickness variation prevent attainment of the required film density of the same location per the defining coverage required with the casting considerably contained with the following areas. 75% minimum radiograph coverage area of the areas include pressure containing area of the area designed with a dynamic load. Core of the footnote number 4, table 13. Area strengthened 2/3 or more yield strength under the high impact shock. 50% minimum radiographic coverage area remaining areas in the casting. 70-50% of the minimum coverage defined in casting area of the film with the width with the specified density limited. Interpretable is not intended with only 75-50% of the contained casting radiograph in specific area. The sleeve of the non-critical area was not graphed when approved. Alright, so the extent of the magnetic particle test and the Ferris casting radiograph required with the components of table 13, 14, and 15 shall be received additional with the radiograph of 100% of the magnetic particle test of all accessible areas. Forge casting for which magnetic particle test is required with the components of table 13, 14, and 15 radiograph that is not specified shall receive with 100% of the magnetic particle test on all accessible surface area with the static load. Ferris casting the receive with 100% of the magnetic particle test in respect of all accessible surfaces which are subject to static loading. So then particle test for the non-ferrous casting except required footnote 3 with the table 13, footnote 4 with the table 14 and 15. Ferrous do not require particle test. Records of the non-destructive test records of the casting inspection of the visual test. The non-destructive test methods should be as follows: the casting and identification, including heat number, the wear applicable, the heat treatment of the lot number, the draw number, the serial number, the material identification, specification number, the class for the alloys, inspection method of result of submarines, extent of the inspection, traceability, inspection records of this casting shall include the casting repair and record specified in 13 to 10. Non-destructive testing responsibility. Designer responsibility 100% of the inspection does not recover the casting. The designer shall implement the requirements 12.53 and 12.54 by the identifying area of the non-destructive engineering testing and engineering drawing with appropriate assignment of the symbol to conform with the AWS 243. Sorry, 24. Alright, contractor responsibility. Foundry activity performed with the radiograph to repair of the radiograph shooting sketch of the core with the military 271 with the base for the requirements established in design 12.11. Prior to the preparation of the design requirement, the radiograph shall be reviewed. Sure feasibility, if epic point of view, the disagreement arise between the designer and foundry man can determine the area of the radiograph that's required with the compared to implement practical with the foundry man with the meet that both requirements must be remained to resolve the controversial issue. Drawing shall be modified to reflect the decisions usually reached by the designer and foundry man since a variety of the process of the permitted military 271 shooting sketches will be necessary for the dependent with only the coverage requirement of the equipment perceived with the particular radiograph at facilities. 1263 approval. The engineering drawings, casting drawings marked with the radial testing coverage required in 1261 shall be forward with the acquisition activity acceptance with the common property with the transmittal letter of the forward with the DECASM. Weldability test required with the applicable cast material specification. Welded test should be performed to demonstrate particular heat of the metal composition readily weldable. Sample casting, simple casting covered in section 14, 15, 16 prior to the production of the number of the similar casting foundry method techniques have not been established one or more. Sample casting shall be parodied for the subject of the non-destructive test. Sampling is seen by the design and foundry. The result of the non-destructive test review both the design and foundry prior to the production. Remaining casting, so significant change of the casting procedure therefore shall be subject to similar casting review of the areas affected by the change. Chapter 13, Repair Casting.